have you ever lost to someone and thought,
This little shit is cheating.
well, here's the thing, he's not cheating, and the reason you lost is because, damn, your Pokemon sucks. But don't worry, because today, we'll be turning your Pokemons into the best it could ever be by breeding them. I said breeding them, not breeding with them. In this video, I'll be teaching you about IVs, how to breed, what held items to use, and yeah, there's a lot. So let's begin. Before we start breeding, we first need to know why we have to breed our Pokemons. We don't just breed them because we feel like getting a new Pokemon. We're going to breed them because we want it to turn into a Pokemon that could even rival Josh's Cleffables. Yeah, bitch, I'm talking about you.
What I do?
But Lee, can't we just catch perfect Pokemons instead of breeding them?
Well, yeah, you can, but the only problem with that is that it takes a lot of time, effort, and most importantly, luck. This is the percentage. Yeah, that equals to this. That's why it's a lot better for us to start at the very beginning, before the day your the Pokemon's parents started breeding. Breeding Pokemons will allow us to control and modify their IV stats. If you don't know what IVs are, well, IVs, or also known as individual values, are stats of the Pokemons that you catch. It could range from 0, meaning, haha, you're moving to the Shadow Realm, and 31, meaning you're fighting Arceus when you reach level 2.
Wait, that's illegal.
Oh no.
Just so we're clear, IVs and EVs are two different things. The main difference is that you can modify your Pokemon's existing EVs, while IVs, well, not really. Now that that's settled, let's start off by adding breeding into Cobblemon. Oh, did I not mention it? Breeding isn't in Cobblemon just yet, but it will be, soon. Hopefully. Please, I beg of you, bring it in soon. First thing you'll have to do is go and search for a breeding mod for Cobblemon. For this video, I'll be using CobbBreeding. Next is to add it into your mods folder. Run the game, enter your world, place down a pasture block, and start breeding.
You haven't taught us how to do that yet.
Oh shit, I forgot. The basic thing that you have to understand is that genders are essential to breeding. We have 3 types of genders in Pokemon. Don't cancel me. I didn't make the rules. We have male, female, and genderless. Most of the Pokemons you'll encounter will be male or female, but some Pokemons like Metagross are genderless. This is how it works. Male and male cannot produce an egg no matter how hard they try. Same goes for female and female. The only way for them to make an egg is if we use a female and male Pokemon. Keep in mind that the child Pokemon will come out the same species as the female Pokemon that you used. Genderless Pokemons cannot breed with any female and male Pokemons. The only way to breed them is by using a Ditto. Ditto is a Pokemon that is able to breed with any type of Pokemon, except for legendaries, baby Pokemons, and other Dittos. If we breed any Pokemon no matter the gender with Ditto, the resulting Pokemon that pops out will be the Pokemon you used to breed Ditto with.
But Lee, I tried breeding my Charmander and my Ghastly, but I didn't get an egg.
I was getting to that. The reason on why your Charmander and Ghastly didn't produce an egg is mainly because of the egg group of those 2 Pokemons. Egg groups, if you're not aware, are the Pokemon's breeding categories. All Pokemons will have 1 or 2 egg groups that will determine which types of Pokemons they could breed with. For example, Charmander is currently in the Dragon and Monster egg group, while Ghastly is in the Amorphous egg group. Since both of them don't share an egg group, that means that they're never going to be able to breed with each other. If you wanted to breed Charmander with another Pokemon, aside from another Charmander or Ditto, then we'll have to look for a Pokemon that's in either the Monster egg group or the Dragon egg group. You can look through this wiki to figure out which Pokemons are compatible with each other, or be like me and use ChatGPT. Now here's a quiz for you. Here we have 3 Pokemons, Magikarp, Sandile, and an apple. Which Pokemon do you think is able to breed with Charmander? You, Student B.
Magikarp?
Are you stupid? A fish and a salamander. Next, Student D.
It's definitely the Sandile.
A crocodile and a salamander. What type of logic are you using? Lastly, Student C.
The Apple.
Good job. Can you tell us why?
Because both Charmander and Applin are in the same egg group.
That's right. Does this mean we can start breeding them now? Well, no, not really. The main goal on why we want to breed Pokemons is to turn this Charmander into the perfect Charmander. That's why the next step is looking through the stats that it needs. I'm certain you already know this, but all Pokemons are created differently. Therefore, every single one of them excels in something, but falls off on the other, except if you're Incineroar. Like for example, Garchomp is a Pokemon that gets powerful physical moves like Earthquake, Outrage, Dragon Claw, and so many more. The downside is that it's not very good as a special attacker. That's why, when we manage Garchomp's stats, we normally just forget about its special attack and focus on the rest. Now let's move on to our main Pokemon. Charmander is a versatile attacker. Well, Charizard is, but you get the point. It could go for either special attack or physical attack. For this video, we will be going for a special attacking Charizard because Why not?
Now can we start breeding?
No, not yet, but please don't leave yet. There are a bunch of items that can make breeding a lot less annoying, like the power items, Destiny Knot, and the Everstone. Let's start with the Destiny Knot. Normally, when you breed Pokémons, the parent Pokémons will transfer 3 IV stats to the child Pokémon. Here, we have a Charmander with an Applin. Charmander has these random IV stats, while Applin has these ones. If we breed them now, then the baby Charmander will get 3 of the IVs from either parents, and the other 3 IV stats will be randomized between 0 to 31. But if one of the parent Pokemon were to hold a Destiny Knot while breeding, the 3 IV stat that gets transferred will instead turn into 5. Let's go back to the Charmander and the Applin, but this time, Charmander is going to be holding a Destiny Knot. The baby Charmander will inherit 5 IV stats from either parents, while the last IV will be randomized from 0 to 31. Now let's move on to the power items. If you want to transfer specific IVs, we'll have to use these items. Currently, there are 6 power items. Power Anklet, used for speed. Power Bracer, used for attack. Power Belt, used for defense. Power Lens, used for special attack. Power Band, used for special defense. And Power Weight, used for HP. If, for example, you want the child Pokemon to inherit a random Pokemon's 31 IV speed, then we'll have to use the Power Anklet. Just give it to the Pokemon that has the 31 IV speed and wait for an egg. All these stats is making me kinda tired. Why don't we talk about something else? What was that, Charmander? You're way too hasty, man. Why don't you just relax for a bit? Wait, that just gave me an idea. I'll just change your child's personality.
What?
Natures are the personality of a Pokemon. They determine what type of Pokemon your Pokemon will be. But that's not all. Natures also give your Pokemon a 10% increase for a specific stat. But it does have a downside. You'll also decrease 10% of another specific stat. Like for example, Adamant, a nature that increases the Pokemon's attack but decreases its special attack. But do keep in mind that some natures don't reduce or increase stats. Like for example, Bashful, Docile, and Serious. So if you don't really want to increase it, then just use these. Currently, this Charmander has a hasty nature. It increases its speed stat while decreasing its defense stat. In my opinion, that nature is already good, but it's not perfect. Our Charmander needs to deal a bunch of damage using its special attack, which is why we'll be trying to give it the modest nature.
But how do we do that?
Simple. Just get a Pokemon with a modest nature, give it an Everstone, breed Charmander with that Pokemon, and the child Pokemon will have the modest nature once it hatches. Basically, Everstone is used to lock a Pokemon's nature. Now that that's settled, let's start breeding. Here we have our main Pokemon, but the problem is that it's a male. First thing we'll do is grab a Ditto and breed them till we get a female Charmander. If you don't have a Ditto, then good luck looking for a female Charmander. After a few hours of waiting, we finally have a female Charmander, and the best part is that it has 31 IV stat for its special defense. Quite lucky if I could say so myself. The next step is getting Pokemon that has good IVs to start breeding with our female Charmander. Luckily, we have Pokemons here that each have good IVs. Lilligant with 31 IV for speed, Breloom with 31 IV for special attack, Roselia with 31 IV for HP, and Paras with 31 IV for defense. Since all 4 of those Pokemons aren't in the same egg group as Charmander, that means that we can't use them. I guess it's over. We can't get that perfect Charmander anymore. If only there was a Pokemon. No, a hero that could save us from this predicament. Wait, is that... Applin here is compatible with both the Dragon Egg group and the Grass Egg group, meaning that it can breed with all 4 of those Pokemons as well as our Charmander. I know what you're thinking. How will this tiny apple ever transfer all 4 of those stats to Charmander? My answer to that is by using the power items. We'll do this quickly, so pay attention. Lilligant with Power Anklet will give Applin 31 IV stat for speed. Then we move on to Breloom, who's holding the Power Lens to transfer 31 IV stat for its special attack. Then we move on to Roselia, who's holding a Power Weight to transfer 31 HP IV. Lastly, Paras with his Power Belt will transfer 31 IV stat for defense. Keep in mind that the more stat you try to transfer, the longer the process will take, so be patient. After that whole thing, we're left with a 4x31 Applin. Next thing we need to do is give Applin a Destiny Knot before breeding with our Charmander. This will help speed up the process by a lot, so make sure that you do this. We then place our female Charmander in our 4x31 Applin in the pasture block. We'll wait for them to give us a Charmander with 5x31 IV. After a few more hours of waiting, we finally got it, our 5x31 IV Charmander, who's very ready to take on Giratina.
Why you bully me?
Bully. I thought we were making a perfect Charmander, not an almost perfect Charmander. I get your point, but 5x31 is already perfect since you're not even going to need the other stat. But fine, just for you, we'll continue with breeding the perfect Charmander, ungrateful ass. Now that you have a 5x31 Charmander, it's time to get a Pokemon that is compatible with Charmander and has a 31 IV stat for attack. We give Ditto the Power Baser, so it'll be able to transfer its attack IV. Then we give Charmander a Destiny Knot, so both parents will be able to transfer 5 stats instead of 3. The last step, and probably the hardest step, waiting for the perfect Charmander to hatch. If you get another 5x31 IV Charmander, then just use that to breed with the other Charmander, but make sure that it at least has one different full IV. To help out with the hatching, I recommend using a Pokemon with Flame Body. It speeds up the hatching time by a lot. Pokemons like Talonflame, Volcarona, and Slugma have Flame Body, so make sure to use them. This process is very RNG heavy, so as long as you don't give up, you'll eventually get it. That's it for today's class. Any more question?
Me.
Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. It's the first time for me to do these types of things, so just comment if you want to see more. Anyways, my name is Lee, and make sure to subscribe.